Oh, hello there. My name's Teresa and I'm the London Organic Grower. Welcome to my channel. We've had some very heavy rain, we've had some very weird weather, and the allotment is overrun with pests such as caterpillars, rats, you name it. So it's been a very big growing challenge this year, but we're now looking into autumn and planting for autumn, so there's no real time for sitting around and drinking coffee. You've still got time to sow a lot of seeds. So if you want some crops for the autumn and spring and winter, and you've got some cover such as some fleece, or you've got a greenhouse or a tunnel, and some crops will actually still stand outside in the open. So the things that we're sowing and planting are spinach, corn salad, spring onions, beetroot, but you won't get beetroot. We just sow beetroot for the leaves so you can mix them into a salad. Coriander, chervil. You can also sow some chard, but again you won't get the long leaves, but you'll get some leaves for salads. You could also sow some winter cress, some land cress. What else are we putting in now? We're getting ready certainly for our autumn sowing of garlic, autumn onions and broad beans, and we'll be putting in field beans again this year in some of the open spaces. But at the moment, because everything has been quite late, we haven't even started to prepare the soil from our summer crops. So we've still got things like the squashes are still in, the sweet corn's still in, but we are planting brassicas such as spring greens, broccoli, cauliflowers, things like that, or some kohlrabi we've put in as well, as soon as any space gets free. Some people are actually putting some carrots in now. I put my carrots in a little while ago, but I'm not. They put in the short, fast growing carrot, but we're not doing that just because we've already got some autumn sowing carrots. But you could do that, or even sow a few in pots and bring them under cover if you've got some. We've got the Chinese vegetables, lots of Chinese things like pak choy, bok choy, tatsoi, mizunas, radishes. All of those things can still be sown, and you can get a crop from it. So no time for sitting around drinking coffee. Get sowing and planting. I've just lifted the lettuces that I planted early summer that have been cropping really well, but they were getting a bit tired, and I also want to put in some more lettuces in this space. And this space is quite good because it's in the shadow of our shed, so it gives it a little bit of shade, particularly in the summer. So I've just taken out the lettuces from this strip here, and I've just given it a bit of a weed. It didn't really need a lot of weeding, but a hoe. So I'm going to give it a little feed of blood, fish and bone and rake it in. I've just given it some water, but I'm going to give it some blood, fish and bone now, rake it in, and then give it another good 2-3 loads of water, because I'm going to plant some more lettuces in. And then once I've watered it all, I'm going to put some of this beautiful compost from the compost bin all across here to hold the moisture in. We're due for a few hot sunny days. How long that's going to last for, I don't know, but it'll help the moisture lock into the soil and help the lettuces settle. So it gives us an autumn and hopefully maybe a winter pick and I'll cover it with some fleece later on, but I'll show you once I've started to plant them. So I'm hoping to do that today, even though it's 28 degrees, which isn't the best situation to be planting lettuces, but there you go. So I've just added some bloodfish and bone. Some people would say that you don't need to put this down, you just need compost, like Charles Dowding doesn't add any extras, but some people who do a no-dig method do put things down, and I do, and I'm gonna, as I said, rake this in before I put the compost on. And the reason is our compost, we make it ourselves. It's made up of all sorts of things, so I can never be sure how nutritious it is. And although we are feeding the soil, it's a bit hit and miss what goes in there. So I'm giving it a little bit of extra oomph, just to help it along its way. And sometimes we put some chicken manure in before we put the compost on it as well. And I would only do that once a year at the most, but I think it helps personally. It makes me feel better. These are my 2 trays of lettuces that are going in now, of various sorts. So these should be ready for a lovely autumn pick. And I've got just a small batch coming in for winter, which I'll protect in the greenhouse probably. But these can go under cover. So I've now finished that area where they're going to go in and composted it. So it's looking very nice. So hopefully they'll be nice and happy. So these are Genobo Red, an Italian lettuce. And I'm surprised that they look as good as they do, because on the way over in the car, the compost bin fell on top of them, and I thought that they were all crushed. But no, they're doing well. So I'm going to pop all of these in the ground now, and as I said, they're looking really good. And I like this variety because they hold really well in the winter, and I can just put some fleece or something over them and they're great to pick. So this is the tray of spring greens that I showed you in my last video, and some of the brassicas I've already planted, which are the kale. So these are the spring greens called Wheeler's Imperial, I think it's called Imperial, I'm sure. And I plant these roughly, it's not an exact science, about 9 inches apart and approximately 18 inches between rows. And if necessary, I take every other one out in the spring when they've grown big and bulky, and use them as spring greens, leaving the other ones to kind of heart up a bit as early cabbages. I've never grown this variety before, but the reviews and the pictures look really good, so we will see what they're like. All being well, they'll be lovely. So I shall just pop this row in and the few that's left over, and then I shall net them, because the birds will just have a feast. They'll come down and have a little rave on me brassicas. Cleared the last of the carrots from this bed, and now putting down a layer of compost from the compost bin, and we'll be putting in some autumn winter crops such as lettuces, pak choy, Chinese greens, maybe some more radishes and turnips. So this is what's getting ready now with some lovely compost. So I'm putting in the spinach now, and I've got some fennel that I'm putting about a week and a half ago, and they're a cool weather crop as well, just like spinach prefers to be grown in cool weather. So I've got my dibber here, and I've dibbed a whole row of holes, and I shall just pop them in now. This is a method that Charles Dowding uses, and I didn't get on with it at first, but now I've kind of got the hang of it. It's very quick and very easy for sowing seeds. So in my tray I've multi-sown some spinach. There's about 2, sometimes 3 plants in each cell, and I'll be picking them for smallish leaves. And the other beauty about growing them in this row here is that I do have some fleece that I could protect them with if we get a bad weather in the winter, and that gives it sufficient cover to allow them to continue to grow, not very quickly, but you can still pick every now and again for either as spinach itself or to mix in with some salads. So this is a good crop for us, and in the spring it bursts forth, gives you a crop, and then runs to seed, so it's a good filler for early in the year as well. I love these trays, they're great for planting seeds in. It's got a large hole at the bottom, and you just put your finger in and you take out a little wodge of seeds like this, great roots. I've started buying mine now from container wise, because you just can't buy these foam polystyrene boxes anymore. I've tried everywhere, and unfortunately they are a bit fragile. So really all you need to do then is just pop one into the hole, push it down, and that's it. That's planted. Easy peasy. So I shall get on with this row and come back to you at the end when I've planted it, so that you can have a little look. So that's a row and a half of spinach in, and I'm going to see if I can find a piece of fleece to cover up. There's a bit of space at the end, and I might put those chicory just along the bottom there to fill that space. The bed is fully planted up now, and we've got the fennel and a row and a half of spinach. I found some other little fennels I've just popped in there as well. I mean, considering that's how I planted them and this is where they are now in a short space of time, that's very hopeful. And then I put in some of the red, oh my god, what are they? Chicory, yeah, to finish off this half row of space I had where the spinach ended. A couple of extra chicory there, and in this space I put a couple of rows of radishes. So this is all planted up. All of these plants are winter hardy, but if I can find some fleece later on in the year when it starts to get a frost or whatever, I will put it over, because obviously the plants will benefit from that regardless. But if you don't have fleece, the spinach will do well. It will stop for a while until the warmer weather starts again, or it will grow very slowly. But you can pick it for salads, which is what we do. So one bed planted up for autumn, winter, and the beginning of next year. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and press the little bell so that you'll be notified of future vlogs. Take care everybody, and happy planting.